Hey, it's Thomas Mulready from CoolCleveland.com, and we are here today at Holden Arboretum on a beautiful day, and we're here with President and CEO Clem Hamilton. Thanks so much, Clem, for taking time to talk with us.
My pleasure.
What is it about this year that the blooming season has been just so outrageously beautiful?
It's one of these phenomenal combinations of timing of the temperature warming up. We haven't had one of those cases where most years it gets warm. The Asian native plants, they get excited. They think, oh, goody, springtime is here. The magnolias have big, beautiful flowers and flower buds, and then the cold hits and they turn brown again. So this has been one of the more gradual warmings we've seen for a long time, and so the synchronicity of flowering is just going nuts this year. The crab apples are great. The magnolias have been wonderful. This is the best year in anybody's memory.
That is newsworthy.
It sure is.
It's a great time to be out here, and it's a great time for you to be launching really one of the biggest things you've done in 10 years, this Rhododendron Discovery Garden.
Yeah, the Rhododendron Discovery Garden is the centerpiece of the first phase of our New Leaf Master Plan. And through this plan, we're looking to attract a whole lot more people to the Holden Arboretum and to engage them very deeply in our mission, because what we're concerned with is, of course, both ecology and conservation and horticulture and gardening, all of those aspects of dealing with trees and other woody plants.
I think it's cool that part of what you're doing here with the Rhododendron Discovery Garden is educating people. You've got signage that educates, and you've broken it into 3 different areas that really walk them through 3 different aspects of how to deal with rhododendrons.
That's a really good point. And in fact, I always say that a great garden at a museum like ours, because we are a museum with displays and education and all those aspects, a great garden has 3 attributes. First, it has to be beautiful. Second, it has to have unusual plants, not just the plants that you can buy at a big box nursery. And third, it has to tell a story. And with this garden, we've been doing all 3 of those things. So over my shoulder, you're seeing the first part of the garden, which talks about the diversity of rhododendrons and azaleas. And the fact that there are over 1,000 species worldwide is a pretty neat thing. And to see you've got big leaves and little leaves, big flowers, small flowers, all kinds of colors, it's something of a revelation to people. And then how do you take that natural diversity and select and modify it so that you wind up with some really good garden plants? So over my shoulder now is the second area, the second node we call it, telling the story of hybridizing, selecting, and introducing new rhododendrons for home landscape use, especially disease resistance. That's a big deal because so many of us in Northeast Ohio have really miserable clay, poorly drained soils, and so how do you garden well with rhododendrons? And so we're introducing new cultivated varieties that do well, but then also, and that leads us to the third section of the garden, and that is how do you grow rhododendrons well in a home garden? And there you're talking about soil chemistry and soil drainage, every bit as much as design. So it's a beautiful garden. It's just a handsome place to be, to enjoy yourself, but in the 4 acres, you can't help but learn something, and that's what we're about.
And this is really something new with Holden, where you're actually asking people to come and learn how they can take it back and use it in their own home gardens.
You bet. I think we've been an arboretum that has done very well with the botanically and horticulturally sophisticated folks, the people who could come and appreciate our world-class collections, because we've got one of the top 5 woody plant collections in the country. But if you don't know about that going in, it's hard to pull those messages out of the landscapes. So now we're saying, what do people know? What do they want to know? And how can we impact their behavior and their enjoyment of the natural world?
And as you say, this is part of the big master plan. Of course, on May 18th, you've got your big event, Roadies After Dark. It's going to be cool. You're going to have a jazz band here and a beautiful event. But you're also doing some things with Corning Lake and with the deer fence that are going to really improve things around here.
Well, the first thing we did as part of our New Leaf Master Plan is we changed the irrigation, because we used to have the irrigation water coming out of Corning Lake and it was chock full of iron. And the downside to that is that in a dry summer, the way we had last summer, We had plants with precipitated iron. They had that really nice kind of Halloween orange look. Well, that's not so good for the plant's health, and it's not so handsome either. So now we've got the very clean water from a different source. So that was number one. Number two is we made the library much more attractive and much more useful. And so the third projects are the gardens we're talking about. The next one on the line is a deer fence, which will surround the entire core 250 acres. We've got 3,600 acres, but what's attracting most people is the core 250 acres.
Right.
And then Corning Lake, you mentioned that, renewing that, reshaping it, and creating a very nice riparian area, a garden. Well, so many homeowners have some moving water, running water going through their property, and they don't do a very good, having lawn fertilized right up to the edge of running water is not very good for water quality. It's not good for Lake Erie. It's not good for our ecology. So we're going to show people how can you do a low maintenance sort of meadow planting that will show people how they can be a more ecologically sustainable partner with the natural world.
Talk about the Tree Alle and your visitor center that you're planning. It's going to be a great way for people to come and be introduced to the entire experience here.
You bet. Over my left shoulder is a Tree Alle, which we just dedicated, and that's named for R. Henry Norweb, who was one of our early directors. He directed the Arboretum for over 25 years. And by the way, I was remiss in not mentioning the Rhododendron Discovery Garden is to be named for Elliot and Linda Payne, who have been very, very important in our history as well. Elliot was the director for over 10 years and very important in Cleveland horticulture. So anyway, back to the Tree Alle. It's a very common design element, and you say you've been in France and you've seen these things, and one thing in Alle all of them have in common until now is they have one species of plant. It might be sycamores, might be lindens, whatever, and we know that that's not an ecologically sustainable way to do gardening and landscaping. Same as street trees in Cleveland. It would be dumb and not so attractive if you had think of what happened with elms, with Dutch elm disease, and think about what's happening now with ashes and the emerald ash borer. So we're all about diversity, so our Tree Alle has 5 different species of trees. So it's still a formal design element, but it's got the diversity that is our hallmark. And as you say, that's crucial because up the hill, just past the Tree Alle, is sometime in the, I hope not too distant future, we'll build a new visitor center. And so that'll be up on the hill. It will embrace Corning Lake. We'll have a children's garden on the other side of it to encourage nature play, and it will link with the rest of our display landscapes and to the education center, which now serves as our visitor center. So the whole thing is of a piece. Oh, and I forgot to mention one other thing that is on the docket sooner than later. I hope in 2 years we'll be building a Canopy Walk so that families, school kids, anybody can get up above the forest floor, 60 feet above the forest floor, and really see what the forest is all about. It's not what you see just when you're walking on the forest floor, and that will actually be coming out of the Helen Layer Rhododendron Garden.
Clem, it is so exciting to see what you're doing here and to see things in bloom as they are in this season. I hope people can come out and check this out, come out to Rhodey's After Dark, and continue to see as you grow and as you develop this master plan. Congratulations on what you've done so far.
Well, thank you very much, and we're looking forward to people coming out. May 18, of course, we have not only the Rhodey's After Dark, a ticketed event, check out our website, but also during the day from 11 to 4, we'll have a lot of neat stuff going on, free admission to the Arboretum, and it'll be a very exciting day all the way around. And it's not just May 18, just throughout the summer, we have a slogan, new every day. You don't think of that for trees. It sounds a little counterintuitive, but when you really get into trees and woody plants overall, you see new stuff all the time. It's very exciting. Thanks.
It's different out here every time we come out. Thanks so much. Congratulations. Keep up the good work.
Thanks very much, Thomas.
Hey, it's Thomas Mulready from CoolCleveland.com. Have a great week in Cool Cleveland.